It's that time. Coach Herm Edwards is on the Zappone phone. Thanks to McLean Food Service. Every single Monday at 5:15, Coach Herm joins us. And all right, Coach, Eli Manning yesterday, 5 interceptions. What was wrong with him in this game yesterday?
Well, made some bad decisions at times. He was rushed, throwing the football in the pocket. But I just thought some decisions he made were poor. You throw 5 picks in one game. But it really never works out well for you. But with that being said, I thought their defense did an excellent job of keeping them in the game. With that many turnovers, it shouldn't be a one-score game in the fourth quarter. But you got to give their defense a lot of credit. Played San Francisco very well. Only allowed them 16 points, but still lost due to the fact in the red zone, it made some errors where they got no points. You look at that last series of plays. The question will be the play calling. Obviously, that's always going to be a question down there when you throw the ball and you don't feel like you can run it in or throw anything but a fade. That's always going to come into question.
When it comes into question, do you know from watching the game, were you surprised that the Giants decided not to try to run the football one time out of those 4 passing plays?
Well, San Francisco has a stout defense, and it's very difficult to run the football, but I just think that obviously when you throw 4 fades, I had worked before for them in different occasions, but at that point in time it didn't work. There's different combination routes you'd like to run. They probably just felt like that was their best matchup, one-on-one situations against the opponent. They tried to throw one to Beckham Jr. Obviously, that didn't work. Tried to throw one to the tight end. He had a chance, didn't come down with it, so those are the things you get second-guessed about when you're a coach. And you get in the red zone, you don't put points on the board.
Coach Herm Edwards brought to you by McLean Food Service with Armen and Levack every Monday on 104.5 The Team.
Coach, when your veteran quarterback throws 5 picks, a lot of them in crucial situations, does that shake your confidence in the guy?
I don't know if it shakes my confidence. I'm not the one that's playing. He's the guy that has to play. I think what you try to do is settle him down, and I thought they tried to do that earlier and ran the ball in a couple series there where he didn't take a lot of shots down the field. But it's one of those deals. A guy starts throwing interceptions, and all of a sudden he doesn't have a lot of confidence in this sense that he starts aiming the football and maybe looking at one guy to bail him out. And I think a lot of it has to do when you feel a guy that is throwing interceptions, the best thing you can do is run the football. I mean, and give him some easy throws. And I think at times they try to do that with Eli, but he'll probably say it himself. He made some bad decisions with the ball.
Coach Herm Edwards brought to you by McLean Food Service on 104.5 The Team. And, Coach, you credited the defense, which they should get credit for holding San Francisco to 3 field goals, particularly in that first half. But midway through the third, it was John Lynch on the TV broadcast yesterday who was critical of the linebackers. Outside the numbers, Kaepernick was 0 for 7. Inside the numbers, he was 11 for 14 with 160 yards and a touchdown. Again, that was midway through the third. What do you take out of that in regards to the linebacking group when you hear those numbers, particularly inside the numbers?
Well, a lot of guys were obviously have been in that linebacker group, have been playing in and out of the lineup. It's always difficult when you have a team like San Francisco and it's predicated you want to stop the run first. They did some things with the read option that really makes you hesitate as a defender as far as your pass coverage. And you're always worried about the run. You're worried about Frank Gore. You're worried about Kaepernick in the pistol formation, which is a tough deal. It's tough on any linebackers. And when you don't have a lot of experience and you're playing with guys that are in and out of there, you're not a group that's tied together, it makes it difficult. And John made a great point, the fact that they try to throw the ball inside against those linebackers, and they hit some passes. But with that being said, I mean, you hold a team 16 points, guys, and you turn the ball over 5 times. That's a great job. I'm sorry to say, but that's just an outstanding job. I mean, this game should have been 40 to 10 at best, and their defense held them in the game. So they're going to make some plays. I mean, this is a playoff team. It's a good offense. It has a lot of guys over there that can make plays. Starts with the runner, Gore and Hyde, the quarterback and run. They've got some gifted receivers. So, yeah, I'm not going to fault the defense. There's no way. You can't do that. When you turn the ball over that many times, guys, and you're in the game in the fourth quarter, and you have the ball down on the goal line where you can score points, and you don't do it. You can't blame that on defense.
Well, and Coach, let's not blame the defense today either because, the last 2 weeks, Perry Fuel has been on the hot seat. He's been defending himself. This defense has been under fire, and they responded yesterday in a big way. So it's very fair, isn't it, to give them that credit and say you can't win with 5 turnovers. The defense did everything they could.
Well, they did. And, then you can say, well, they shouldn't have scored the 1 touchdown. I get all that. But I'm saying, you got to keep the game close when people turn the ball over. When you turn the ball over on offense, you ask your defense to go keep it close so we can score some points and maybe get our way out of this. Their defense did an excellent job, I thought, of really containing an offense where you gave them short fields at times. You took yourself out of scoring position where you've seen that in the past sometimes with teams, and they deflate. And the Giants, they did that in the second. They did that in the second half against Seattle. Where they played a pretty good game. They turned the ball over and they deflated. This game, they didn't do that, especially on defense.
Whew, good insight today from Coach Herm Edwards, brought to you by McLean Food Service. Coach joins us every Monday at 5:15. We replay it at 6:30. It's the best of Herm.
Coach, rough year for Coughlin as far as, people second-guessing him and whatnot, but is he a Hall of Famer? John Lynch had mentioned it. I was just wondering what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I would say he's definitely a candidate as well as John Lynch. Both those guys. Tom Coughlin was on our staff in Philadelphia my rookie year. He was a wide receiver coach, actually. So I kind of go way back with Coach Coughlin, watch him grow as a head coach, obviously as a position coach. He's done an outstanding job there in New York. It's a tough market. You're the Giants. There's a lot expected, but I think it's a solid organization. Reminds me a lot of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have great leadership, and it starts at top. They know the ins and outs of football. They know there's going to be some highs and lows. He's witnessed a lot of lows in the last couple of years, but they've had some highs. They've won 2 Super Bowls, so that says a lot about his credibility.
Well, and it's funny because Tom Coughlin under so much criticism, Coach, and people are talking about his job and his future in New York. And it's funny because it's only his second losing season at this point, midway through the season, in over a decade since he's been in New York. His resume speaks volumes, but it also tells you that you can't lose 2 years in a row. I mean, it's a rough industry to be in for a head coach, right?
Well, it's just rough. It's difficult, but you sign on to do that. You understand it. That it's a win league. You got to win now. And every team has flaws. You know that whether you don't have a number one quarterback and you've gone through some quarterbacks, injuries, all these things become a part of it. But at the end, the bottom line is about wins or losses. And when you lose, you're going to be subject to being criticized. And obviously, your job stability, longevity of your job always is a deal. But I think when you get in this profession, especially coaching, you realize that you never take that stuff personal. That happens to every coach. If you coach long enough and you're in the league long enough as a player or a coach, obviously you don't always have control of the outcome of your career. Wins and losses do that as well as being a productive player. So, hey, that's just part of it.
Coach, the other coach in New York, Rex Ryan, made an interesting move. He had Hall of Famer Chris Carter come in, talk to the team, kind of try to motivate them. Have you ever had like a Hall of Famer or somebody, a special guest speaker, come in to motivate your teams?
No, I haven't. And I think that's always good. You get a different voice from different guys that come in. And I know Chris probably did a great job for those guys. It was good that Rex reached out to Chris. And hopefully they can continue to win. That was a big win for them last week against Pittsburgh. And now they know the feeling of winning again. That's always good to get it in your locker room, feel that way. So, good fortune to them. Hopefully they can string a couple wins together.
Why did you never do that? Is it something that's rare? Is it something that you thought about?
Everybody does. No, I don't. No, I just never did it.
Yeah.
So it's my decision. I never did that.
I hear you. Coach Herm Edwards with Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team, brought to you by McLean Food Service. Coach Rex Ryan also fined $100,000 for dropping the bomb. We were curious. We wanted to ask you, is there any time on the sidelines where you got upset? Did you ever get fines from the NFL? Let the emotions get to you, in that spotlight as a head coach on the sideline?
No, I've only been fined actually one time as a player.
Wow.
Back in 70s, I don't even know what day it was, but it was back in the 70s. I got fined.
That's impressive.
I don't know about being impressive, but I've only been fined one time. That's not saying, that it's worth anything. It doesn't matter. You get fined, you get fined. I mean, that's just part of it, when you sit in certain seats, obviously the likelihood of the microphone being on you is a lot more added than any other guy. So you got to be careful. Hey, and Rex is trying to probably make a point, and that's okay. You know, I mean, he's an emotional guy. There's a lot of emotion goes on the sideline. It's a shame that because emotionally you get charged in games and they fine you for it, but hey, that's what they want to do. That's their deal.
Coach, what'd you get fined for, if you don't mind me asking?
I want to say for punching at a guy, I believe it was.
Nice. Coach Herm Edwards with Armen and Levack on the team, brought to you by McLean Food Service. Coach, the Bills have announced that Kyle Orton is their guy heading into next week against the Jets. That loss on Thursday Night Football was a punch to their playoff hopes. How do you know as a team when to go back to E.J. Manuel? Your thoughts on that decision to stick with Orton?
Well, I think the last couple weeks, I mean, they've been in position to win games. I mean, they've kind of brought it on themselves for making some errors at the wrong time. They've played in some tight games the last couple of weeks where they had two games that they were in, actually. One against the Chiefs. They had a chance to win that one. The one against the Miami Dolphins was a big game at home as well, and they also had a chance for that. And they just haven't made the plays in the fourth quarter to close games out or to win them. And so I think they have to continue to realize that they're in the game. They're not getting blown out. They've been very competitive. And Kyle Orton did a nice job of orchestrating the offense, hadn't turned the ball over, and that's important. So I think he continue to go that way because he's the one that got in his position.
Coach, last night was supposed to be the battle of Tom Brady versus Andrew Luck, and now today all we're talking about is that youngster, that running back Jonas Gray. What'd you take away from him?
Well, he did a fantastic job of running the kid out of Notre Dame, and you know, he's had a couple opportunities before, and he found his way on the practice squad in New England. They put him in the game last night and obviously did a great job of running the football. And I thought New England did a nice job of attacking the line of scrimmage with their run game, which set up a lot of other things in the passing game. And now all of a sudden you look at New England, they're probably the hottest team in the AFC, and the other team is obviously the Arizona Cardinals. So, you know, this is a week-to-week deal. I mean, every week we feel like there's another team that we want to anoint, and then they lose. And so I think this is a great year, I think, for a lot of football fans. There's still about 10 teams over there in the NFC fighting for spots, about 8 teams and maybe 10 teams in the AFC because that whole AFC North is crowded with a bunch of teams. Pittsburgh has a big game tonight. So I think it's making it interesting. There's no dominant teams per se that we know of. All of them have kind of their ups and downs. New England had one earlier in the season against Kansas City, and they found their way. Now scoring about 40 points in the last 6 games. The one that's probably been the most consistent, doesn't get talked about a lot, is Arizona. And they're not pretty. I mean, they don't win pretty. They don't blow people out a whole lot. They play in a lot of close games, but they always find a way to win.
Okay, and that's great. That was my next question because you're talking about the AFC, how it's open, there's nobody dominant, but yet Arizona's 9-1. They're 3 games up in a really good division. You said they always find ways to win. Coach Herm, I mean, yesterday 14-6 over a good Detroit Lion team. You got Drew Stanton in there now. How are they doing this?
Well, they're playing excellent defense, and offensively, they have explosive players that can make big plays, and that's what they do. They're not a team that methodically moves the ball. They move the ball in big chunks, especially offensively. They got a good receiver core. One of them always seems to come up with a big play. They're a vertical offense. They want to throw it down the field. They're not one of those 5 yards, let's throw the ball. They want to throw it big chunks, 20, 30, 40, 50-yard pass plays. And their defense does an excellent job of putting pressure on the quarterback. And they lost some defensive guys earlier in the season, so you got to give Todd Bowles and those guys a lot of credit for hanging in there and playing outstanding defense. And it's going to tell you right now, it's going to be very difficult to beat those guys in Arizona. They're creating a home field advantage in that stadium.
Coach, big news line coming out of the one game there. The Emmanuel Sanders for Denver running on the sideline. McLeod hits him. I mean, big hit. Was it a clean hit?
Got penalized for it, so it wasn't a clean hit, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Okay. But when you look at it,
do you think it's a clean hit?
I thought the defenseless receiver is the one thing I took away from it.
Then you answered your own question.
I was just wondering, you played in a rougher age. When you see a hit like that,
you asked me that. It's the rules. How I feel and how I don't feel doesn't make any difference. That's the rules.
I value your opinion, Coach. That's all.
Receiver. He's a defenseless receiver.
Okay. I just value your opinion, Coach. That's all.
Well, my opinion is the rules say he's a defenseless receiver. Now, you can't go back in my day and play. We don't play in
No,
my day
right.
anymore. That's over with. You know what I mean? We can't go back, oh, 20 years ago. We're not playing 20 years ago. We got to advance. We're smarter than that now. That's a defensive receiver. Everyone sees it. Everyone wants to debate it and say, well, back in the day, it ain't back in the day anymore. Back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. Well, we have cell phones now. So we can't go back in the day. We have to live with what the rules state today. It's about protecting the receiver, protecting defenseless players. The guy was defenseless. I understand. He didn't hit him in the head. He hit him in the shoulders. But the key was he was defenseless. He couldn't protect himself. Are you mad at the DB? No, because the target moves. It always moves. I don't think the guy intentionally wanted to hurt him. He was just trying to get the ball, go through the player. And I've always said this for defensive backs. If you go after the ball and you run into the guy, they should never call a foul.
And what a hit, too, that really changed momentum, taking out Emmanuel Sanders out of the game.
Well, yeah, but that whole deal is, here's the momentum, guys. It ain't that hit. It's not that hit. It has nothing to do with that hit. Here's what's wrong with the Denver Broncos. They can't protect Peyton Manning in the middle of their offensive line. This is why they went out and obviously brought Incognito in there for a workout. Right now, they cannot protect the quarterback inside. He's getting pressure inside, and everybody's doing that. The last couple of weeks, you just watch the game unfold. People are going to rush him inside. He can't move, and they have no run game. So they're running into the same thing that the San Diego Chargers ran into. They couldn't run the football. Quarterback sitting back there. Phillip Rivers throwing it all, trying to throw it so much, people just attack. And they're doing the same thing for Denver Broncos. That hit has nothing to do with it. It's bigger than that hit.
Got it.
If they don't get that offensive line fixed between those two guards, they got issues because they can't protect Peyton Manning.
Good stuff, Coach Herm. Aaron Rodgers is playing possessed yesterday, 53-20 over the Eagles. Green Bay is scary right now heading into the month of December, aren't they?
At home, yeah. They're very good. Yeah, they're very good at home. You don't want to deal with them at home. They can get up on you early, and that really what I'd say covers a lot of their shortcomings. They put Clay Matthews inside to hopefully stop the run, but they haven't been tested yet. They've got early leads on teams, with rightly so. And that's what you want to do when you're trying to hide a deficiency. And their deficiency right now is run defense. They can't stop the run, guys. They have problems stopping the run if you can run the ball. But the problem is you get behind so fast against Green Bay that you have to throw it. And that's what happened last night. Oh, that's what happened yesterday with the Eagles. They had no shot. But when the game got out of control, Sanchez has to go back and throw 30, 40 times. You got a problem.
Coach Herm Edwards, brought to you by McLean Food Service. Coach, thanks for your time today, and we're looking forward to it again next week.
Sounds fun, man. Thank you now.